Alright, I've been thinking. When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Make life take those lemons back. What am I going to do with these lemons? Demand to see life's manager? Do you have any idea who I am? I'm the man who's going to burn your house down with a lemon. I'm going to make my engineers to build a combustible lemon to burn your house down.
Right, so the nature of this piece was for you to figure out who among these two was a neurodiverse / autistic actor, and who among them wasn't, and why you thought that was. Like, mind you, just for future, what is it like? They have no problem with what you're going to say, so they're not going to be offended. not if I have any say.
He's not joking. We won't be offended.
Let it rip, guys.
Yeah, that's right. Better learn your place first.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like if you have any questions, fire away.
You want to open it to the floor?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely.
Can I just ask what each actor's name is?
This is Greg Young, and this is Fergus King.
Greg and Fergus. Well done.
Well done.
So are you asking us a question then?
Yeah, like who did you think was a series of questions? Yes, but
Yeah.
like first off, who did you think was like the neurodiverse actor, and why did you think it was him?
Anybody want it?
To be honest, I didn't think any of them were.
Yeah.
No, I just see the character and went on the journey. You know, it wasn't, for me, it wasn't obvious.
Yes, Joe.
It was obvious to me.
No, it's fine.
Okay, I'm just going to say my observations. When Fergus comes on, there's a directness and a light behind the eyes, and there's a warmth. And there's no problem with coming into the audience's energy. When Greg comes on, equally as charismatic, but there was a lot of the eye contact was to the floor, and there was a subtle quietness to the eyes, and there was some interaction, but it was mostly directed away from the audience.
Thanks, Joe. Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Similarly to like Jonathan and was saying, I wouldn't have, because it was mentioned before, I wasn't even thinking anyone was different to each other, I just thought they were different acting styles. But when you posed the question, I actually thought Fergus, because I felt like Greg came out, and I don't know if this is anything to do with anything, I feel like Greg came out and had a bit of a stronger presence with all of them, nearly, or something like that. I felt like Fergus was a bit quieter, maybe vocally, or something. So I suppose when you ask the question, my instant thought was Fergus.
Yes, Griffin.
I actually thought they were both neurodivergent.
Find it.
It's hard to say that.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Why Griff?
Oh god. Well, it's just because being surrounded with like a younger sibling who had like the rarest form of autism was such a weird experience growing up. Like she's non-verbal and all that, so it's kind of like I feel like I'm living with an overgrown toddler some days, and then I realize, oh wait, I'm also neurodivergent myself. Some people like
Welcome to the gang.
Alright, well you gave it away now. But yeah, so like growing up, I've had like two weird, I don't want to say extremes, because like I had one extreme in my life, and then there's myself and my dad, so I've been surrounded with autism my whole life, so I kind of just thought like it's just very natural to me, and I wouldn't really see that. But I just wanted to be a wild card anyways and just say
That's great feedback.
Yeah. Sorry. Yes, Eddie.
For me, the scale of autism is very wide and broad, so it can be any one of you. So I'm going to say why I think either one of you can be autistic. For you, I do agree with Heather.
For who? Fergus?
Fergus, yes. I know that name. I'm so sorry.
You're going to find it.
quietness to the eyes, and there was some interaction, but it was mostly directed away from the audience.
Thanks, Joe. Anyone else?
Yes, sir.
Similarly to like Jonathan and I was saying, I wouldn't have, because it wasn't mentioned before, I wasn't even thinking anyone was different to each other, I just thought they were different acting styles. But when you posed the question, I actually thought Fergus, because I felt like Greg came out, and I don't know if this is anything to do with anything, I feel like Greg came out and had a bit of a stronger presence with all of them, nearly, or something like that. I felt like Fergus was a bit quieter, maybe vocally, or something. So I suppose when you ask the question, my instant thought was Fergus.
Yes, Griffin.
I actually thought they were both neurodivergent.
Find
It's hard to say that. Yeah.
Why, Griff?
Oh god. Well, it's just because like being surrounded with like a younger sibling who had like the rarest form of autism was such a weird experience growing up. Like she's non-verbal and all that, so it's kind of like I feel like I'm living with an overgrown toddler some days, and then I realize, oh wait, I'm also neurodivergent myself. Some people like
Welcome to the gang.
All right, well you gave it away now. But yeah, so like growing up, I've had like two weird. I don't want to say extremes because like I've had one extreme in my life, and then there's myself and my dad. So I've been surrounded with autism my whole life. So I kind of just thought like it's just very natural to me, and I wouldn't really see that. But I just wanted to be a wild card anyways and just say
That's great, Lisa.
Sorry. Yes, Eddie.
For me, the scale of autism is very wide and broad, so it can relate to be any one of you. So I'm going to say why I think either one of you can be autistic. For you, I do agree with Heather.
For who? Fergus?
Fergus, yes. I know that name, I'm so sorry.
You're fine, yeah.
For Fergus, I do agree with Heather when she said that your volume kind of came more in and out. So that kind of indicates autism for me. But for you, I don't want to sound mean, but you just look more autistic.
No, you're good.
I'm so sorry.
You're all good. You're all good, don't worry.
When I don't know if it's just like social media or like in the media, but when I think of people in
Neurodivergent
community, they present them with as more specific look in media and stuff,
Yeah.
and you fit the bill more.
Right.
Yeah.
She tells us she sees it.
Yeah.
Would you be able to elaborate? Like, what do you mean by like that look? If that makes sense.
When I think about that look, I think of.
I don't think she means his image.
No.
Was it like a charisma?
Was it mannerisms?
Yeah, the walk
and
and
like they look like the
mannerisms,
body
yeah.
movement.
Yeah.
Like the way you kind of like present yourself, you're like, excuse my friend, but you don't give up. You know what I mean? And I find that more often sometimes, you know what I mean? I feel like you kind of panic backstage where you came on just like whatever, that kind of stuff. I don't know, but that's just me.
I felt the same as Adeyemi. So I thought that Fergus was the neurodivergent actor, but I also found you were very comfortable, Graham, is it?
Yeah,
Greg, sorry, with eye contact, and I was like, okay, I think he's not in the first sense, because I knew what Henry's thesis was about, so I was thinking of that while watching. But also in your footing, I found you very more shifty on your feet, whereas you were more planted. So I was thinking, oh, maybe he's not then, because you were very strong in your stance. And I found that was a great kind of an atmosphere to have, like a good strong presence. But then again, as Adeyemi said, the mannerisms of the not planted feet made me think, oh, maybe he's okay. Maybe he is okay looking in my eyes, but maybe he is neurodivergent because in his body it's kind of moving to and from with the energy. But then in the end I made a decision that I think it's yourself, but that's just my opinion.
Sorry, you had a question, Liam.
I would kind of say the same as Griffin, but like at the same time, like in my opinion, I feel like nearly all of us are somewhat on the spectrum somewhere, even if it's very, very low or very, very high. So I could have said the same thing. I didn't see any like crazy characteristics that went, yes, it was definitely like 1 of 2, or that went, oh, someone here is neurodivergent. But I also wanted to ask a question with the glasses. What was...
I wanted to mix it up a bit.
Okay.
I thought, okay, if I wear the glasses, I feel like a different character myself.
Okay.
Hopefully that.
I didn't know if that had something to do with these or
It's just kind of a prop, really.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I think exactly that. I was saying I couldn't see it.
Yeah.
You know, because first of all, I didn't realise what your thesis was about, but it's not something I look at in people. You know, it's because it's obviously not an obvious ability, whatever you want to say. It's not something that I look at people and try to label them. So I just took you as the actors and the characters on the stage.
It's very good.
Yes, Cheney.
Yeah, I was actually more on the point of like, because I was noticing with Fergus, it was like his movements away.
Obviously not an obvious ability, whatever you want to say. It's not something that I look at people and try to label them. So I just took you as the actors and the characters on the stage.
It's very good.
Yes, Cheney.
Yeah, I was actually more on the point of like, because I was noticing with Fergus, it was like his movements are way more structured. Like you have kind of an idea of what you're going to do and stuff. Where yours is more free flowing and stuff. And also the neurodivergent actor myself. It could either be one thing, it could be that you're naturally seeing, or because you get notes in that a lot. For example, like I used to get a lot of notes on my arm movements, like I'm doing now. My arm movements were very too like energetic, and that can actually take away from performance. So I've been more told to not sit on my hands, but like be more like structured with that kind of stuff. So maybe that's just enough. Maybe that's not just you not being neurodivergent. It's just that you're kind of used to these kind of things. Similar with your one. Sometimes, as myself, sometimes it kind of felt like you were maybe talking a bit too fast, which can also be
It's common trait, yeah.
a trait, right? So it's like, and with yours, because I was noticing that like with yours, I was enjoying your energy, but then I was like, oh, what is it actually about? When I was then going to yours, and you were more slower and you were more direct, it was like, oh, so that's actually, oh, so it's about this and that kind of thing. So I was thinking more the manners and stuff. So that could also be coming from being a long time of working on acting, coach and stuff, and then like kind of learning that kind of stuff, that trade.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
This still sounds weird,
Shoot.
but neither.
We've had every possible combination.
Yes,
That was new. Perfect. That was new.
I feel like it's neither, and you pose the question to get the call from people who aren't working, so that you'll find that like you can see their opinion, see what you
That's an interesting take.
Thinking outside the box, yeah.
I always do.
Henry, do you have any other questions that you want to ask?
Was it deep, like, was it deep? Do you feel like that when it comes to like the industry, do you feel like it could be a strength, or do you think it like holds people back? Like,
I think
what specifically can you say, Henry?
no, it's just like some casting directors, like I feel like if you were to reveal like whether or not you have a diagnosis or not, they'd probably like think twice about that, if that makes sense. Do you get me? Do you feel like that's, was it they're justified in doing that, or like, and if so, like why or why not, if that makes sense?
I just think it's about the individual and how they navigate their neurodiversity, how they manage it, and how, because like I said, I keep going, it's not something that you always see. So I think it's up to the individual if you want to divulge that or not. If you feel there is stigma against, and there is some sort of racism against that in the industry, well then I think it's up to the individual.
Yes, sir.
I don't think it's an issue. If it's not an issue for the actor, if the actor has trained to be an actor and it's not causing them issues to be an actor, under no circumstances would any director say, oh well, I'm not casting you because you're neurodivergent. Half of the industry is neurodivergent. You know, it's and that's, I'd love to actually get the numbers because it's true. You know, so no, I don't think it would affect. Obviously, if the actor has trained and the actor is able to do this, and you know, it's not affecting them, well then absolutely, I don't think it should affect their ability in the industry.
Just adding what I was saying, I think it could possibly be a strength, because listening to a piece that you wrote before, and you do spend your life navigating and trying to merge things and try to explore, and that's what we do as actors. So it could be a strength.
Yes, Caleb.
I think people get typecast for like anything. I don't think it's exclusively a neurodivergence thing. So if people know you're autistic, like, or whatever, you could get typecast for that, but you could get typecast for any aspect of you. It's not exclusive.
Once you can learn your lines, be professional in a space, you know, be organised, all these things that you need to be to work in a rehearsal room and perform, it doesn't matter.
Yes, Jess, sorry.
My home is kind of similar to like Emma's, and also because it is a spectrum. Like my nephew is non-verbal, so he's not going to get up on a stage and say a monologue to us all, because like his mind and body connection won't allow him to do that. But if someone is maybe lower on the spectrum, then they could be able to do that. But it's like yesterday I was telling you, and you guys can look at it and you go on or whatever to do that. But if someone is maybe lower on the spectrum, then they could be able to do that. But it's like yesterday I was telling you, and you guys can look at it and you go on or whatever. Someone went on to, I think it was America's Got Talent, Cody Lee, I was telling you, he's blind and autistic, and he went up, and when his mom was introducing him, and his speech was very broken, and it was like talking to kind of a child, but when he sang, it was the most emotive, passionate, like he spoke so much through his performance. And I think it is the same with anything, but you could put a neurotypical person on stage, and it's the question, can they act, can they perform, or can they not?
Yeah.
Is that where their talent lies? Because I could ask one of my friends to go and maybe like, I'm not doing that. Or do you want me to pretend to cry on stage? Like, they couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Because it's about if you're connected to that, to your mind and your body, and your mind and your emotions are connected to project that onto the stage and communicate, if that's how you communicate or not. So I don't think that it is purely reliant, and also because it is a spectrum, someone might not be their way. Their way of expressing themselves might be like to type, and it might be a poem or something, you know? So I think that's
Yes, Jerry.
I don't think you identifying yourself as neurodivergent would have been an issue. The only issue is that the client I'm experiencing at the moment is that the performance industry is a very networking, social industry, and you kind of have to put yourself out and advertise yourself more. A lot of I'm not generalizing, a lot of people with autism, with neurodivergence, they're more like, they may be a bit more less awkward and that kind of thing.
More introverted.
Yeah, whatever that is, whatever the social cues and all that kind of stuff. So if you're talking to like, if you're trying to put yourself out there, a lot of people might struggle with that, or if they could go into a conversation and they might not understand that like they're being too rude or that kind of thing. But that's every person in the industry, like, unfortunately. But yeah, so I think the social aspect of trying to put yourself out there could be difficult.
So it's how you carry yourself.
Yes, like case by case.
Yes, Eddie.
For me, of course, it does have to do with talent. It doesn't matter if you're neurotypical or if you're not. You just have to have the talent for it. But also, it's about, I don't know if accessibility is the right word for it, but for me personally, I don't like working in places that contain huge flashing lights or very strong smells, because that for me, that I can't work in that kind of situation because I can have headaches or even just things, you know what I mean? So it just kind of be knowing what. Let me say this right.
Knowing yourself.
Personally, overstimulated. Like, if I'm going to be overstimulated in a certain role.
Like sensory overload.
Sensory overload. If I know I'm going to have a sensory overload in a certain place or cast or role, whatever, I just don't go for that completely. And that can limit me because the role itself I can play, but the setting, I can't be there, you know what I mean?
I feel like that would be the same, but like, say if it was a woman who wasn't like neurodivergent, happens to get like very bad, like, you know, like periods or something like that, and they have to excuse themselves from situations, like, I think that would kind of, like, people would make excuses for that, like I would get very overstimulated in a lot of like very noisy places, and I don't think that's like a massive problem. Like, everyone has their own issues. I don't think it's like a thing of being neurodivergent or not. I think it would just be like, it's something that people have to cater to in order to work with you, you know what I mean?
Any more questions, Henry?
Do you just want to review the results?
Oh yeah.
You were very much correct, it was me.
It's a neurodivergent accent.
father. I can't go home. It's Carp. My wife's mother is here on every Tuesday. She cooks Carp. No, I've nothing against this fish. It's quite tasty. Oh. Every day I go home, there's swimming up and down and up and down and up and down in my bath, and I just hate it. I hate it. I can't stand the sight of its giggles. Now you've been standing close to me, right? You can tell. I've not a bath in 3 days. I can't go home until that Carp is asleep. Because if I go home and I find it, I'm gonna kill it. Now, you're always going to have a problem lifting a stick in one piece, isn't it? So best thing to do, chop it up into 6 little pieces and mash it all together. But then, you got to get rid of it, right? Best thing to do, feed it to pigs. First thing, you got to starve the pigs for a few days first, right? After that, to a pig, that stick will look like curry to a fucking pisshead. And then you gotta shave the heads of your victims and pull the fucking teeth out for the pig's digestion. Now, you can do it afterwards as well, but you don't want to be sifting through pig shit, do you? Now, a pig will go through bone like fucking butter. A pig, you need 16 pigs to go through a body in one sitting, so be wary of any man who owns a pig farm. Pigs will go through 2 pounds of uncooked human flesh per minute. Hence the expression, as greedy as a pig. I've seen horrors. Horrors that you've all seen. But you have no right to call me a murderer. You're right to kill me. But you do not have the right to judge me. I remember when I was in Special Forces. We set up a camp to inoculate the children. We inoculated thousands of children, gave them better health, and then we left the camp and this man approached me and he was crying because he couldn't see. And we went back to the camp. We went in the door of the camp and they had hacked off every child's arm that we had inoculated. There was a pile of tiny little arms on the ground. And I wept. I wept like some grandmother. And it was like I'd been shot with a diamond straight through my forehead. I thought the senseless wonder of that, the genius of it. Because they had the will to do something like that. I'll tell you this. If I had 15 regiments of those men, our problems here would be over. Because we need men with moral tests, but we need men with a primordial will to kill without reason, without passion, without judgment. Because it is judgment that truly defeats us. Yeah, I had dreams. 2 of them. You know, it's strange because I'm older now than he ever was. So in some ways, he's the younger man. My father, the younger man. In the first, I met him in town and he gave me some money and I lost it. And then the second, we're back in older times, and I'm going through the mountains on horseback. I'm riding through this pass, through the cold and the snow on the ground, and he goes right past me. He didn't say a word. He just rides on. He had his blanket wrapped around and his head down. And he was carrying all those lights and a horn, and it's like pulling, and I knew in my dream that he was fixing to go off somewhere into that cold, into the dark. And I knew that whenever I got there, he'd be there too. And then I woke up. I think you cannot be blown off course. You know, I feel your judgment and your accommodations, and I'm fine with that. You want to be loved. You want to be a movie star. Well, the world is as you find it. You've got to deal with that reality. Because there are monsters in this world. And we saw 3,000 people burned to death by those monsters. And yet, you object. But I won't kiss those monsters in the face and say, pretty please. I will not object to keeping your family safe. And I will not object to doing what needs to be done to keep your family sleeping peaceably at night. It has been my honor to be your servant. You chose me. I just did what you asked.